Hey everyone, welcome back. It's time for the latest GoSkills Challenge solution. How did you do? Well, we're about to find out. Our Excel expert Claudia Buckley has her solution to share. Give it a look and see if yours matches up.
Here's our solution to Excel Challenge 22. How to get a chart to report only the last 3 months of data every time it gets updated. So here goes. Here's our data set. Here we have sales data from January to June. And we do want a chart, but we only want to see April to June on our chart. Now, if we go in and just make this range our source data, then we fix the range and it won't get updated when we add sales figures for, say, July or August. The offset function is built for that. Offset uses an anchor point or a fixed cell reference, and it returns values from another cell. That's a certain number of rows or columns from the reference point. It's a great stepping stone to creating interactive dashboards, which, by the way, I think are extremely cool. So I'm going to head over here and enter equals offset, open parenthesis. Let's make cell B1 our reference point or anchor. And the next two arguments are asking how far away from this reference point do you want to move? So in terms of the number of rows, that's going to be constantly changing as we add values to the source data. So it can't be a definite number. It has to be calculated. Let's count how many rows in this column, column B, actually has values in them. So for that, we'll need the count A function. And we're counting the number of rows that have values in column B. Now, just by looking, we already know it's 7 rows, but we don't really want offset to move 7 rows away from B1. It's always going to be 1 row less so that we account for the anchor itself, which is occupying the first row. So let's enter -1. All right. And how many columns away from this point are we moving? None. So we enter 0. Let me close parenthesis here. And we do get a value. It's equal to this last value here. So we know that we're on the right track, but we're not done yet. We also need the April and May numbers. So let's go back into the formula, jump in. And we need to get the optional arguments to deliver the remaining values. So the offset function asks for the height of the return values. Well, we want it to be 3 rows in height. Let me close parenthesis, see what happens. We do get 3 rows, but what it's doing, it's going downward. So let's make it go 3 rows backward by changing this 3 to a -3. That's more like it. And can we get the names of the months in there? Let's do that by doing the width argument and making it -2. Yeah, so it's going left, so we use the minus. And this looks like our dynamic range. Let's test it out by entering a value for July sales. And you can see that it's updated here. Perfect. So this will be the source of our chart. Let's just highlight it here. Insert. Click on the chart that we want. And we've got that chart. Let's add another month value here. And our chart is updated. Nice. Now, some of you aren't getting the results that we see here, and that's most likely because you have Excel 2019 or earlier. So you don't have dynamic arrays built in to your Excel functionality. What you'll need to do is enter this formula as a CSE formula. It means that you'll need to know ahead of time the size of your output. Well, we know it's going to be 2 columns wide and 3 columns in height. So when using CSE formulas, when creating CSE formulas, then you need to highlight that output area that you expect. So here's what we're going to do. Let's delete what we have here. So our chart is empty, and we want to highlight the area that we expect our output to be. And now we just type in the exact same formula, equals offset. We use our reference point. We count the number of rows that have values, -1. We don't move any columns away. We want -3 for the height, and for the width, -2. Close parentheses, but we don't hit enter. What we'll need to do is instead hit Control, Shift, and Enter all at once. That's why it's called a CSE formula. The official name is Array Formula, but you'll probably hear CSE more often. And when you see these curly brackets automatically added to a formula like this, then you'll know it was entered as a CSE formula. So, a couple more things that we can do to get this chart looking a bit more up to standard. First of all, notice what happens if I enter anything else in column B. So let me just enter the word Excel here. Now this happens because we asked it to look for values in column B, and this is a value. So we'd have to make sure that this column, column B, which is where the count refers to, is kept free of any other type of data that isn't sales data. If you can't guarantee that, then it might be better to convert the data set to an Excel table and use the table name in the offset formula. So let's do that real quick. Control T to convert it to a table. And now just make the formula reference the name of the table. Let me get this table name here and we'll call it sales. All right, and now we need to change this reference to column B to make it reference the name of the table. All right, remember this was an array formula. So let's just go back in and adjust. It needs to reference the column that's here, the sales column. And close that in a square bracket because that's the column name. And we no longer need to subtract that row. We don't need to account for that anymore because it's already talking about the values in this column. Everything else looks good. This is our CSE formula. Again, Control, Shift, and Enter if you're not using dynamic arrays. And even though there's something here, because we're not making reference to the entire column, we're good. So if I were to add September here, and maybe we made $18,000 in sales, then we're good. And finally, there's one other little tip to get our chart title to be dynamic. First, we need to bring all the dynamic values together in one place and then link to that cell. So let me do that now. So we want this to be equal to whatever's here. We use the ampersand to join values together. So let's make that a space. So we want this to say July to September, or whatever the 3 months are that are here. We use another and maybe we also want to say sales. All right. And now we just link our chart title to that, type equals in the formula bar and link it to this cell. So whatever we have here, when we add October, then our chart is updated. And that's it. That's how we create this dynamic range so that we can make our chart dynamic too. Do you have any other tips you'd like to share? Don't be shy. Drop a comment below or join our community on Slack. Click the link in the description. See you next time.
So there it is. Did you get the same results? Did you use the same approach? Or did you try something different? We'd like to know. Share your take on the challenge in the comments below or join us for more discussion in our Slack channel. Link in the description. Thanks for participating and make sure to subscribe to this channel to get an alert when the next challenge is released. We'll see you then.